Bonjour, hi! Recently, I was trying to deploy a .NET Aspire solution that contains a front end, a database in a container, and an API in a container. And I use AZD, so I talked about that previously. It's a tool that I love. And the deployment was successful, but the app was not working. Looking into the details, I noticed that the SQL script for my database to create the tables and populate the data was missing. On top of that, I use Data API Builder. Data API Builder is it's an open source solution that creates an API, data API on top of your database with CRUD capabilities. And it only required one config file to get started. So when I was looking into the log, I noticed that the file, the SQL script, and the config file for the DAB, Data API Builder, was missing. They were not uploaded into Azure. I think it's a very common scenario. I found a very simple way to fix it, so I thought I would be sharing it with you. So that's the topic of today. Let's get started. My solution, like I said, I think it's a game, but I think the components are very common. You have some kind of like web service, website, front end, something like that. In my case, it's a Blazor app. Then I have a database. Here we see it's a MySQL database in my case, but the same idea always works with different databases. So, and I have here an API that runs also in a container. I deployed that in Azure Container Apps, and with Aspire, it worked perfectly locally because the files are right there in my bind folder. Let's have a look to the code. So let's bring VS Code. I don't need that. And so this is my app host of my Aspire solution. And we can see here, I add my server, I create my database. And here I had the SQL, the binding for my scripts. You could be tempted to use the regular with bind mount, but it won't have exactly the same behavior you're expecting. You're better using the with initial bind mount in case of a database. It's the same destination, but there it will really work the way you want. Then for the DAB container, here I'm like, when I'm creating it, I pass my configuration file. And obviously it works when we are running it on local because the files are sitting in the folder that are here. So how did I deploy it? AZD up. Simple, it's fast. I talked about it before. And if you go there, you will see like the website is responding. So the website is there, but then as soon as I'm trying to get to the data, you're getting error, and like looking into the log, you will see that because the database was not created, the file were not existing, and same for Data API Builder was like where there's no config file, so it didn't create any API, obviously. So how do you fix that? There's multiple things you can do. One is when you use AZD up, it will create a Azure YAML file. So you could totally do here post deployment action and have a bash script or a PowerShell script, depending on like where you're running the deployment, to upload the file using, for example, AZ command, Azure CLI command. That will work and it's totally fine. Another way will be to use feature from AZD. They are alpha, so use it with your own risk for like if you want to do it in production. I don't recommend it, but for a dev environment, for a test environment, or just to learn what's coming up because they are the tool of the future. So let me show you. So we'll bring a terminal. To see the list of all of them, you could do it with a command that will be azd config list alpha. Let's run it. And here there's two properties that are very useful. So the first one will be here, will be, common. Voila. Will be here and it will be AZD operation. And this will extend the capability when we are deploying, meaning it will upload the file into the blob storage. Because yes, when you do a bind mount and then you deploy into Azure, those files will be sitting in an Azure storage file share. And usually you have to upload the file manually or use a script in there. Using this now feature, AZD will take care of it. So no more script, no more manual steps. That's what we like. The second feature that is very cool is this one at the bottom of my screen. Voila. So InfraSit. This is fantastic. Turn it on all the time. If you use it, the command with InfraSit, we'll see that later. It will generate the biceps file for the Aspire solution with everything you need for infrastructure as code for your containers. This is awesome. So we want to use that. So how you turn them on is, let me take my little snippet here. We'll clear the screen. Voila. So the way you do it is you will do azd config set and then alpha dot, the name of that feature that you want to turn on, and then on. Doing so, those features will now be enabled and you don't have to do anything else. By doing azd up, automatically you will see that going into your Azure storage, the file will be present. The database will then be created, but for the data API builder, the DAB, one thing will still be missing. Because the problem is DAB is expecting one specific file in the bind mount, and you're sharing kind of a folder. To fix that, we need to go and specify the subpath. Let me explain. So what you want to do is to use, let's clear again, use that command I was talking about, the azd infrasit, and doing so, it will generate the file. So let's have a look to those files. So infra will generate the file. Excellent, the file are now here. So as you can see, I had 3 containers, so I have 3 files. The one that we are interested right now is DAB. So if we look into this one, we'll see here that we have the mount path. To fix that, we need to add an extra step. So we go here and we add the subpath. So this is the name that we'll be seeing into the Azure storage. This is the mount path. So the file will be there and we want that file in the star, like the file. But if we don't have this, in case, at least today, it won't work. So you need to do that. Another thing here that I notice is I have my scales rules and I can also change that if I want. So I could go and add max replica, plural, replicas, and do what I want. So because I generated the file and I modified them, it's really important because now every time I will be using azd up, those files will be used instead of the regular one, because like when they are always generated, but kind of like not for us. So now you have them, you could customize them the way you want. If you want to change anything in the config, you could do it. And once you do another azd up, you will notice also that the other azd up are much faster than that first one. And that's because azd is incremental. It only deploys what's changed. In our case, it means nothing in the code has been changed. It just need to upload that file. So because in my case, it was a very small file, it will be pretty quick. azd is a very smart tool. So once that last azd up is done, then the database will be created, populated, the data API builder will be there, a full API will be present for us to use, the app will be working, and everything will be done. Well, this is cool because now I could do an azd up. But if you're interested to learn how to do that in a CI/CD pipeline, for example, in a GitHub action, I put a link in the description for a blog post where I explain everything I just show you. So if you want a code snippet, you will have them there, plus how to do that in a CI/CD. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.